Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. It's another spectacular day to learn something new and interesting. Come, we have another stimulating show for you, and it begins with the news.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, July 31, 2023. Phase 3 of the Port Royal Pipeline Replacement Project will be undertaken over the next 6 months. Prime Minister Andrew Holness broke ground on Friday for the $433 million project, which is being managed by the National Water Commission, NWC. The work will replace aged cast-iron transmission mains between the Norman Manley International Airport roundabout and the NWC pumping station in Port Royal. Mr. Holness says the new water main will improve the quality of life of Port Royal residents, advance service reliability, as well as pave the way for further developments.
In the next budget year, we will now be able to focus on doing some revetment works along the coastline here to protect the land from a catastrophic weather event should one occur. And then we will be able to build more social housing. The other complaint of the people of Port Royal about the condition of their housing. And then the following year, we can seek to improve roads and put in drains. And then the following year, we can look to improve the school. All of these are now possible and in train.
Meanwhile, NWC Chairman Michael Shaw says the project will see to the introduction of high-density polyethylene pipelines, which are more resilient to the high saltwater levels common to the area. The pipeline is expected to last for 4 to 5 decades.
This groundbreaking and this laying of pipe is covering 2 critical things. We are resolving the NRW issues where there's so much leakage and putting in real pipes that will be long-lasting for the communities.
The bed capacity of 2 major hospitals have been significantly boosted with the delivery of the well-needed resource on Thursday. 40 manual adult beds were delivered to the Spanish Town Hospital at a cost of $68,000 by the Southeast Regional Health Authority, SERA. The hospital also received 15 pediatric beds. Meanwhile, beds delivered to the Bustamante Hospital for Children included 6 orthopedic, 30 cribs, and 20 pediatric. The cost, inclusive of 5 years of preventative maintenance, is $179,000. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the government is adjusting its approach to securing infrastructure for hospitals.
We are coming over the next couple of months with a maintenance policy, which I think can be game-changing. And that maintenance policy, which we will announce and elaborate on at the appropriate time, will see a change in the approach to how we deal with our infrastructure. For starters, it will attempt to ensure that every piece of equipment that is purchased must, not if, must come with a maintenance schedule.
Jamaican maritime students can now complete their studies in France. This follows the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, between the Caribbean Maritime University, CMU, and the French Maritime Academy. The universities will engage in discussions on student, faculty, and staff exchanges, in addition to the sharing and development of educational materials. CMU President Professor Andrew Spencer said the signing solidifies the university's long-standing relationship with the French government.
It will see the sharing of ideas. It will see the opportunity for French professionals to share in our maritime space in the Caribbean, but it will also see an opportunity for our own professionals at the university to be able to provide valuable input into the French maritime space.
Meanwhile, General Director of the French Maritime Academy, Francois Lambert, expressed his excitement about the collaboration.
I can't wait to develop new projects with the CMU, and we have many ideas to make our cooperation stronger on the maritime field.
And finally, Jamaicans at home and abroad are being invited to participate in activities to mark the country's 61st year of independence under the theme Jamaica 61, Proud and Strong. Minister of Culture Olivia Grange says a range of activities are slated to be held from August 1 to 5 at the National Arena. Minister Grange was speaking at the National Independence and Emancipation Day church service held on Sunday at the Waltham Park New Testament Church of God in Kingston. The service included Bible readings by Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Opposition Leader Mark Golding. Meanwhile, the Festival Village at the National Arena will be the center of activities for festival. They include August Morning Market on August 1 at 6 a.m., followed by the crowning of the National Festival Queen at 6 p.m. The Jamaica Praise and Gospel Star final show will take place on August 2. Mellow Go Round is set for August 3, while August 4 will be Reel and Come Again Film Night in the Village. The Old School Party, which is the school uniform edition, will be held on August 5. And closing out the celebration is the staging of the Independence Grand Gala at the National Stadium on Sunday, August 6, starting at 5:30 p.m. Meanwhile, the Emancipation Jubilee will get underway at 7 p.m. today at the Seville Heritage Park in St. Anne.
All of this is free. A few years ago, Cabinet gave the approval for all these events to be free. There was a time there was a charge. But now you can enjoy your celebrations without having to pay a fee to attend any of these events.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
What has the experience been for Jamaicans with disabilities since the passing of the new Disabilities Act? Well, for one thing, local companies have been more proactive in meeting the needs of the disabled. Let's find out what else has been happening in this feature.
Although it's only been a year since the new Disabilities Act came into effect, the law has been ensuring positive changes in the lives of persons with disabilities. This is especially so as it relates to strides being taken to increase the number of disabled people being employed. Since the Act, local companies have assisted in training young people with disabilities on how to write resumes and prepare for work. Executive Director of the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, Dr. Christine Hendricks, says more companies have become proactive.
We have seen definite effort on the part of companies in terms of whether retrofitting their spaces, writing or drafting inclusive policies to include persons with disabilities, or indicating that they would require training for their staff, and engaging us at the JCPD to help to facilitate the provision of materials, so that they can make that training available to their staff.
But training is not the only area where decisive action is being taken. The new act has piqued individuals and companies' interests regarding matters affecting persons with disabilities. Dr. Hendricks says local companies have expressed worry that disabled persons are not applying for positions at their companies. She says the council is helping to change that.
We did indicate to them the availability of the website of the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, that whenever they have positions to make it available to us, because we have a network of the disability sector that we can share, such information with whenever we get it.
The Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities is also recruiting to assist in the employment of disabled persons. In its first year as a body corporate, The entity is in the process of transitioning to being more independent from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security.
So we too are in the process of recruiting, and we ensure that the disability sector is aware of the positions that are available so that they too can apply, because what better example, to demonstrate than, the council having, the people who have disabilities here in its employ.
One such employee is Angine Garrick, the council's receptionist. With the requisite training and her love of interacting with people, Angine's disability has not stopped her from finding gainful employment. She believes the act will continue to help other members of the disabled community get employed.
There are a lot of persons out there with disability that need assistance and need finding job placement. So yeah, I definitely think it will.
And what of disabled people who want to be self-employed?
Persons with disabilities do have the option of starting their own business, and there are opportunities as we look at financial inclusion. And again, during Disabilities Awareness Week in December, we did have, along with the Bank of Jamaica and other entities, the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Company's Office of Jamaica, looking at how persons with disabilities are being included in their policies and in their programs to ensure that as they build out financial inclusion, persons with disabilities are not left out.
Dr. Hendricks says the council also empowers individuals with disabilities.
At the JCPD here, we also have programs where persons can apply for and receive grants for economic empowerment for their own business, because you do have persons with disabilities who are into that independence and wanting to become their own bosses, and so they do have that opportunity as well. So that can be counted in the whole employment space.
We all play a pivotal role in proactively filling up the blood bank by donating blood, by encouraging those who can donate to do so regularly, and by offering support, whatever that looks like. So be it to retweet it, be it to ask a family member, tell a friend, a co-worker, a colleague, even a stranger.
1 liter of blood can save 3 lives. You can give half of that at any of the Ministry of Health and Wellness's blood collection sites. There is no time to wait in a time of crisis where blood is needed. Every passing moment, the life of someone who needs blood hangs in the balance.
I stand here before you as a testimony of the life-saving effects of donating blood. Someone gave, that's why I am alive today.
If you are 17 to 60 years old and in good health, please give so others can live.
The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development has numerous plans it's bringing to fruition this fiscal year. In this feature, you'll hear more ideas for the country's markets, fire services, and overall rural development.
Local government as a policy has significantly changed the lives of our people by improving, developing institutions of national resilience as well as national advancement. Our efforts have set the stage for doing more. I am committed. The staff at the Ministry of Local Government is committed in giving a higher level of service to the people of Jamaica.
This higher level of service from the ministry, now renamed Local Government and Community Development, includes a resolve to intensify contributions to national development. In the 2023-24 fiscal year, This includes improving the living conditions of more indigent citizens.
The social protection program will be boosted with an allocation of $73 million to construct more concrete indigent housing across Jamaica, namely Chambers, Penanover, Cheswick in St. Thomas, and Banks in Clarendon.
The national development focus goes further. Special attention will be given to the Jamaica Fire Brigade to address long-standing issues affecting the JFB. 2 new fire stations will be built, one in St. Elizabeth and the other in Clarendon at a cost of $112 million.
The new fire station will be built in Balaclava in St. Elizabeth at a cost of over $20 million, Madam Speaker. A new fire station is to come on stream in Lionel Town in Clarendon, which will cost over $90 million, Madam Speaker. $70 million will be spent on upgrading the Anato Bay Fire Station. The York Park Fire Station, Madam Speaker, will get some benefit.
There will also be an increase in the number of firefighters.
The recruitment of 200 additional firefighters at a cost of $125.5 million. This money is a part of an additional $640 million. Presently, there are 70 fire prevention officers throughout the island. Because of the further assistance, it is moving from 70 to 140 prevention fire officers across the country.
Firefighters will also get more personal protective equipment.
147 will be spent to give them more specialist equipment. 3 command vehicles will be procured at a cost of $22.5 million, Madam Speaker. Brand new fireboat to serve the town of Ocherius will begin with a deposit of $109 million.
Not to be ignored is the water woes facing some communities. To cauterize the problem, the ministry intends to build more water shops. Manchester is one area of focus.
New water shops will be built in Porus, Somerset, at Johns Hall at a cost of $36 million. Madam Speaker, the one in Johns Hall that we're building has a capacity of over 30,000 gallons of water. It's the largest water shop that we have undertaken.
To maintain one of the country's economic hubs, there will be a modern network of markets. The local government ministry intends to ensure this transformation process through a comprehensive market rehabilitation program.
The projects that is presently taking shape, phase 1 of the work on the Savlamar market is now in progress. We're spending some $20 million in the first phase. The cost of the Savlamar market will run us over $70 million. The Charles Garden market in St. James, probably the second largest market outside of the Coronation Market, Madam Speaker. We are going to be spending over a 3-year period $180 million to renovate.
And even though the ministry continues to grapple with the reality of markets burning down, the commitment to build out and maintain these structures will remain.
The drawings on the Highgate market is almost completed. That was gutted by fire. We are paying our attention to the Highgate market. The people of Alexandria, your wait is coming to an end because the funds will be provided in this financial year for the Alexandria market in St. Ann. The Buff Bay market in Portland, the first phase of that market, the first phase of the work will commence.
And the rural development program will be ramped up.
This year, Cheswick in the town of St. Thomas will benefit from infrastructure work. new road work at a cost of $13 million to improve in Cheswick. We're spending $15 million on road, $13 million on water. $20 million will be used to renovate the community center in Cheswick. Eight indigent houses at a cost of $50 million will be built in Cheswick in St. Thomas for the indigent.
Banks in Clarendon will also be added to the program.
6 indigent houses to be built at a cost of $10 million each. The rehabilitation of the basic school, and I have already written to Minister Williams on the matter. We will be taking care of that. For the first time, Madam Speaker, we are going to be building from the ground a brand new state-of-the-art community center in the community of Banks at a cost of $45 million.
And so, the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development has resolved to intensify its contributions to national development.
As the summer season continues, Jamaica, like other countries, is still affected by a lack of or insufficient rainfall. Here's some of what is being done to help mitigate the drought conditions.
Jamaica has a bimodal rainfall pattern, which means we have 2 peaks of high rainfall activities. The primary peak occurs in October each year, and the secondary peak occurs in May. Now, during the period February to March and the month of July, that is in between the 2 peaks, we also have our lowest period of rainfall. So we are in one of those low periods now of rainfall. Jamaica is in a meteorological drought. What that means is that the level of rainfall is so low that it is affecting the supply of water. And this is particularly the case for communities that are dependent on catchment. So rural communities are likely to be greatly affected. But there is a more standard and precise definition of a meteorological drought, and that is determined by what is called the Standardized Precipitation Index. And this is a tool used to monitor drought conditions based on precipitation, meaning rainfall. For Jamaica, a meteorological drought event occurs anytime the SPI, that is the Standard Precipitation Index, is negative for at least 2 consecutive months and reaches certain particular values, but suffice to say that we have hit those marks. People who are in rural areas who depend on rainwater catchment or have water systems that depend on catchment, they are starting to feel the impact of the drought. So they don't need this index to say that they are in a drought situation. The meteorological drought is different from the hydrological drought, which is focusing on your stream flows, your flows in your rivers, the level of water in your aquifers and so forth. We are not yet at that point. So we're not yet experiencing a hydrological drought. However, the starting point of that is when your rainfall is persistently low. The situation is of concern, but it is not one in which I would say we should panic. But we are being proactive, we are preparing the country, and we are trying to bring our citizens into the understanding of the changes that are taking place in our climate. We had made an allocation of 50 million Jamaican dollars to support the initial response. We will put in another 100 million Jamaican dollars into the response, and the response will be channeled through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. It will be channeled through the Ministry of Local Government and filtering through the various municipal authorities. We gave 30 million to the parish councils for them to start the initial response. In terms of how the resources will be used, we're going to concentrate on the rural areas that are impacted, because we still have sufficient supplies in our catchment and in our treatment facilities and in our reservoirs, even though some of them are showing decline. The utility areas, meaning the areas served largely by the NWC through metered water, they are not affected as badly as the rural areas. For this phase of our drought response, we're going to be focusing on the rural parishes, and we will be directing the funds by need. As this is the initial phase, we're going to go case by case, need by need, so that we maximize the value of the response. In other words, there are some areas that will not need assistance right now, while other areas will need great assistance. So we're being sensitive to that. If there is an urban community that is affected, and there may be a few of them who depend on catchments or on water systems that are not part of the NWC's system, they too will get support. The NWC will play a critical role in all of this as well. In November last year, we took receipt of 8 new water trucks. So your government has been increasing our capacity to respond to these crises. These 8 trucks are with the NWC, and we have another 8 that we are in the process of purchasing the others. In addition to that, there are some parish councils that we had provided with trucks. We're going to continue to increase our capacity with trucking and the replenishment of the capacity of our rapid response for water. We have invested heavily in putting in an entire new water trunk for the corporate area. We have invested heavily in what we call our non-revenue water reduction, meaning that the NWC now has less leaks than before, and therefore is able to recover more funds from the water it produces.
Thank you for being with us today on Jamaica Magazine. Like Alexander the Great, remember there is nothing impossible to they who will try. Join us again tomorrow for another interesting journey. Of course, you can visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for more news you can use. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.